Saying that this year's 2019-2020 NBA season has been eventful would be an understatement to say the least at this point. The death of Kobe Bryant, the coronavirus pandemic putting the season on hold, along with many other notable sports figures' deaths, this NBA season will definitely be one to remember for a very long time. And everything that I've talked about so far has just been off the court. On the court, however, this season has been, in my opinion, some of the most competitive basketball that we've seen in a very long time. With the absence of a Golden State super team, at least for now, the door has been opened to many teams to have a shot at the NBA title this year, even with the current circumstances that sports are in right now. Here are 10 facts that I found about this year's NBA playoffs. To start off the list, this is going to be an easy one. The rest of the NBA season is pretty much all being played in an NBA bubble, where all teams are playing their games in the same area of Orlando, Florida. And of course, this is done to keep the exposure to COVID-19 a lot lower than what it has been in the past. I'd say the only bad thing about this is that pretty much no team, unless you're the Orlando Magic, no team is gonna have in any way, shape, or form a real home court advantage despite what seeding that they have. So the only fans that will actually be you could see in the game will be virtual fans and virtual seating. And just having home court advantage will affect having the crowd, having the fans on your side. It can really help a team on whether home or away. The second fact is that the NBA playoffs are following a shortened season due to everything that's just been happening as well. After the NBA season was suspended in early March, teams that were still eligible for the playoffs were invited to the NBA bubble, when teams that were eliminated from the playoffs were pretty much just told to stay home. And the teams that were invited to the bubble played a total of between 70 to 75 total games. Teams that did not enter the bubble only played a total of 65 or 66 regular season games. The last time we've seen a shortened NBA season was the 2011 to 2012 season. I really remember this, where the season started around Christmas time and the NBA played a total of 66 games, and the Miami Heat, LeBron James, won his first NBA title. And they were able to beat the OKC Thunder in 5 games. And the last shortened season before that was in the 1999 season, where a total of only 50 games were played because of a lockout, and the San Antonio SPURS ended up winning the NBA Finals. 3. The NBA actually put in their first ever play-in series to ensure that the best teams make the playoffs. So this technically means that 17 out of the 22 teams that were invited to the bubble actually made the playoffs. So for this year, it was between the Portland Trail Blazers and the Memphis Grizzlies, who were pretty much tied for the 8th seed. And to get in, Portland only needed to win once, while the Memphis Grizzlies needed to win 2 games. So Portland winning the only game that they played automatically put them in as the 8th seed in the Western Conference for the NBA playoffs this year. Fact number 4, a total of 3 teams who missed the playoffs last year got in this year. Those teams are the Miami Heat, the Dallas Mavericks, and the Los Angeles Lakers. Last season, the Miami Heat had a record of 39-43, which was just 2 games outside of the 8th seed in the East. This year, they were 44-29, which is 5th seed, and adding Jimmy Butler and also having Bam Adebayo become an all-star has helped them become a playoff team this season. The Dallas Mavericks were towards the bottom of the Western Conference in Luka's rookie season, and this year, the Dallas Mavs went 43-32 and got their first playoff appearance since 2016, being a 7th seed in the West. They of course lost to the Clippers in the first round, but it's pretty safe to say that Luka Doncic is amazing, and Kristaps Porzingis is doing pretty good when he's not hurt, and it's pretty much only up from here. And last, we have the Los Angeles Lakers. This team was a 4th seed in the Western Conference until a slew of injuries caused them to fall out of contention for the rest of the season. And now this year, they were a 1st seed in the West with a 52-19 record, And the addition of Anthony Davis and also Dwight Howard off the bench has also helped the Lakers a lot. And LeBron leading the league in assists has been looking great for the Lakers. This fact is also about the Lakers. For fact 5, the Lakers are one of the few teams to go from not making the NBA playoffs all the way to a first seed in its own respective conference. The last team to do this was the 2008 Boston Celtics. The year before, they went 24-58 and with just Paul Pierce, and then a year later, acquiring Ray Allen and Kevin Garnett, the Boston Celtics went 66-16, going to the first seed in the East, and as well as making it to the NBA Finals and beating the Los Angeles Lakers in the finals. Could we really see this rematch of the Lakers and Boston Celtics this season in the NBA Finals? We'll just have to see. This is probably the most disappointing fact on this list. For the first time in my lifetime and since 1997, the San Antonio Spurs have missed the playoffs this season. In 1997, they went 20-62, and their leading scorer was 37-year-old Dominique Wilkins. And of course, this was a year before Tim Duncan. And it was the third worst record in the NBA that season. Of course, this season, the Spurs were invited to the bubble. Their top 2 players were DeMar DeRozan and LaMarcus Aldridge, even though he got hurt. And they just got eliminated and lost too many games this year. Greg Popovich's time in San Antonio as head coach is also probably coming to an end very soon as well. Donovan Mitchell's 57 points in Game 1, Round 1 versus the Denver Nuggets was the most points scored in a playoff game since Michael Jordan's 63 points in 1986 versus the Boston Celtics. The Bulls ended up losing that game 135-131, and the Jazz also ended up losing the game where Mitchell scored 57 points, 135-125. Both first seeds this season ended up losing Game 1 in Round 1 of the NBA playoffs. The Milwaukee Bucks lost to the Magic in Game 1, but went on to win the series, while the Lakers lost to the Blazers in Game 1 and went on to win the series in 5 games as well. We haven't seen a situation as to where both first seeds lost Game 1, Round 1 to the 8th seed since the 2003 NBA playoffs, where the San Antonio Spurs lost Game 1 to the Phoenix Suns. They would go on to win the series in 6 games and would actually win the NBA Finals. And the Detroit Pistons will lose Game 1 versus the Orlando Magic, and they would win the series in 7 games but lose to the New Jersey Nets in the Eastern Conference Finals. They would go on to win the 2004 NBA Finals as well. The playoffs this season was actually postponed for a very short period of time, done to fight against racial injustice. The very first game that was postponed was the Milwaukee Bucks and the Orlando Magic, where players just didn't straight up take the floor, and other teams would follow suit by not playing their games as well. The players decided to meet later on during the day after one of the games, and they decided to resume the season, and the only teams that went against that were the Los Angeles Clippers and Lakers. They actually wanted to cancel the season in its entirety. After starting the season as a G League player, Luguentz Dort scored the most points in a Game 7 as a rookie in NBA history with 30 points versus the Houston Rockets. The last player to do something like this was Jason Tatum in his rookie season. The second part of this fact is that Chris Paul became the oldest player in NBA playoff history to record a triple-double in Game 7 versus the Houston Rockets at age 35 years old. Despite losing in the first round, CP3's ability to be an all-star at 35 years old while leading a team that was said to have a 0.2% chance of making the playoffs to a 5 seed in the West just shows how great Chris Paul really is. And yeah, that's pretty much all I got. Is there any other facts that I missed? Comment and just let me know. Who do you think is also going to win the NBA Finals this season? Comment that and let me know as well. Thank you for watching the video. If you like the video, like and comment. And if you like me, subscribe.